everybody's ready to go. With that, I'll take your questions, please.
Mike, you were saying you want to work outside on grass as much as possible. Do you feel the schedule with you never go more than 3 days? Will that allow you to keep going on that grass field, or are there some concerns that by the end of this you're going to have some issues?
I think definitely in theory, just not practicing more than 3 days in a row was my thinking. But just as you watch the practices and the ability to use both the indoor and the grass field is something that we'll utilize. We met last night as a staff about that particular thinking. So you may see us do some pre-practice and maybe a little more practice in the Ford Center, and then come back out for team drills on the grass field. So we're just working through it. I think it's in respect to the fact that this is my first time through a camp. These are the kind of things you usually work out in the off season, and we'll continue to work through that. Is there an echo in here?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, all right.
Technical difficulty.
Yes, there is.
Just checking. Yeah. Ask a question you already know the answer to. But yeah.
How hard is it about the benefit of a preseason to kind of gauge, especially the younger players, undrafted guys who might make up the bottom of your roster?
Excellent question. Frankly, I was just visiting with Mike Nolan about that specific topic, and really is you look at the timing of a normal training camp, and you're still trying to use that as a gauge on where you get the live activity built into your practice structure. So in a normal training camp, we'd be through 8 installations before traditionally have a family night type scrimmage. So that was a normal time frame for having live action in the past. So, I'm looking at that. Those parameters is when we need to get out there and have live action built into our practice, especially for our young guys. And that's the group we got to find ways to get a little extra built into the practice structure so we can get a clear evaluation.
Determine that yet, Mike? Will you move that up? You won't wait 8 installations, or how will you go about that?
Well, the thinking is we'll probably at least get through the first 8 or 9 installations. I mean, schedules can adjust, but then once again, we have it all laid out, and we'll continue to watch it and work it, and we may do some situation-specific live action, whether it's goal line, short yardage, or 4-minute type drills that we may turn it on.
Hello?
Coach?
Yes.
Can you hear us?
Yes. Yeah. I'm ready.
You and Alex Smith go way back, and he's expected to be activated off the PUP list this week. What does it mean to see that, and how closely have you followed his injury recovery?
Well, just having some friends in the Washington organization, particularly last year, just what he's gone through in his rehab is beyond remarkable. I had a chance to visit with the ESPN people about the special that they did on Alex and his recovery. So I think it speaks to him personally. He's always had tremendous fight and grit, and just the things that he's gone through throughout his whole career. So just wish him well.
Mike, you mentioned the blue-white scrimmage, August 30th planned, and you talked the other day about your willingness and even need to play young guys. How much, though, does a coach, given this unusual circumstance, end up kind of relying on the security blanket of veterans that he knows?
Well, that's a great outlook there, because I agree with your question. It's the fact that you do have veteran experience. The threshold you want to get with your veterans is just to make sure they're comfortable with the new schemes. The communication is clear, not only from the staff to the players, but most importantly among the players and make sure that they're connected and feel good about everything we're doing. So once you get across that threshold, I think you can push a lot of your time, resources of time, towards your younger players, because not only do we need to get them evaluated, there's a process that I believe you go through each and every year as a football team is you got to close the gap between your inexperienced players and your experienced players, and that's all part of the basic function of a training camp and early season football that every team goes through. So we'll definitely weigh that, and that's part of the everyday evaluation.
Mike, considering your experience with quarterbacks everywhere that you've been, how do you go about building that relationship with those guys? How does that trust factor start to grow between you two?
Well, this is different for me as far as the way this coaching staff's structured and really the challenges that have been in front of us, with the off season not existing and so forth. So, and what I'm referring to specifically is my role as a head coach, because you spend so much time in the organization of just the practice, how you visualize things being, taught in meetings, what the meetings are supposed to look like. So I'm trying to be everywhere that I possibly can throughout this phase of training camp. But because this is a process that you normally go through in the spring, where you get your hands around your environment and the culture and just the teaching resources and make sure everything's being utilized. So, but with that, the quarterback room is a room that I need to be in, and I try to get in there as much as I can. But I can't say enough about Doug and Kellen and just the job that they're doing, and it's a really good quarterback room. We got Scott Tolzien also in there, and we have Seneca Wallace here working with us for training camp. So there's a ton of experience that we've wrapped around our four quarterbacks, and it's a very healthy room.
Mike, you were talking yesterday about how that first practice was a teaching tempo. Like you said, you didn't have a normal off season. Do you already have it predetermined when you're going to get up to the pace that you want, or how much of that is dictated with where the team is picking up what you want to do?
Well, I probably didn't make myself clear when I said the practice teaching tempo. We had I think 2 drills in the practice were teaching tempo, but I could assure you, based off of the data that came out of the first practice, we were cranking definitely at the level that I'm looking for. So if we can keep the tempo that we had in our fundamental drills, our offense, defense fundamental drills, our special teams period, the 7-on-7 no huddle period was outstanding. The team period tempo was a good start. So we'll get the other specifics of each and every drill cleaned up to what the expectation is. So, but I thought the guys that did a really good job coming out for the first day as far as the energy and the enthusiasm and the overall practice tempo.
Mike, when you get all your guys, go ahead. Mike, as that everybody's got helmets, your pads coming on tomorrow. Were there any recommendations that you or the organization made to the guys, especially offensive and defensive linemen, to wear one of those full face shields or try it out, see if you like it? Did you guys do anything in that regard?
Well, anything that with equipment, starting with your helmet, which is the most important piece of equipment that our players wear. Those are more one-on-one conversations between, the player and Mike McCoy, our equipment staff. They do a phenomenal job. I mean, they've been at it a long time. So those things are, specific to the individual. Also, there's an element of, our training staff is involved in those conversations. So you're looking at 2 departments that are extremely experienced, well rehearsed, and frankly, they're always going to put our guys in the best position.
Mike, can you share your vision once Griffin gets here, and then Don Terry Poe's status on PUP and whether or not he might come back today, and what your defensive line first team might look like when you have all your guys?
Well, I think the biggest thing, as far as the defensive line is we're going to need all of them. It's a long year. I think the way you want to build your football team, and frankly, just trying to be wide open on offense and and let the game come to the pass rush of your defensive front. So as far as starting lineups, I'm more, I focus more on rotations and play percentage because I'm always looking at the forecast over the course of the season. Not only how much each veteran plays, but it's when they're playing too is important. So that's my view on that. Poe, he won't practice today, but he looks good. I talked on him yesterday, just watching him go through the drills. So I feel good about the progress he's making. And what was the third part? Oh, Everson. Everson is, he's going through the protocol, and then frankly, until our strength staff and our training staff have a chance to see where he is, his flight for get back on the practice field will be evaluated. So we'll just see where we are.
Mike, what kind of weapon do you think Blake Jarwin could be for your offense?
Well, I think Blake is going to he's going to make a real impact on our offense. So I think anytime, particularly if you just want to talk about the passing game, the ability to attack the middle of the field is always critical, in my view, to the success of a passing game in this league. The fastest way to the end zone is through the post route. So the ability to get up on that second level, as far as challenging the second level defenders, he has that. I tell you, he can really get it. I've been so impressed with him, and really the whole tight end group. It's a good looking group. It has a group with a lot of depth. So I think Blake will definitely make an impact with his opportunities this year.
Based on your experience, how much as a coach, do you need the preseason to know whether or not a guy is a player or not? You get around these guys at practice and meetings and all the sort. Do you have a pretty good feel for what a guy is without the luxury of August exhibition?
We will, but by the time we get to the end of the training camp, have a clear understanding of which each player, how he fits into our program. It's we're just at the beginning here, and we're off to a good start. But training camp is very difficult. I mean, it's difficult each and every year, and it's a process that identifies everything that you need to know about your team, your offense, defense, special teams, and clearly every individual that's on that roster.
You might have to take the hat off. Thank you.
Hey, Mike, with today's practice script, is there any periods in particular, any periods that you think represent kind of the next step for either your offense, defense, or football team as a whole?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that? Just the background. I couldn't hear that clearly.
No problem. Are there any periods in practice today that you're especially looking forward to as something of the next step for either your offense, defense, or football team as a whole?
Today is really exact same practice script as practice one. So I'm really looking for us to take a step in the clarity of the expectation of every drill. So we've had a chance to coach practice one, go through each drill. We will adjust different techniques and different fundamentals in our fundamental drills, but it's just to get the clarity of what the expectation is. We have a segment that we call team fundamentals. It's something different. It's not different as far as what we're asking our players to do in regards to the game of football. It's just different than what some of our players have experienced. So just to get the clarity of the expectation of each drill. So I'm looking for us to take a step in that a step in a positive direction today.
I know it's early camp, but how did CD and Cedric look in fielding punts and get a feel for what you guys really want them to do back there?
We're off to a good start. Just in fairness to those guys, we've had one special teams practice, and but they handle the football every day in their ball drill segment. So I think the whole group is definitely very natural back here when you watch them on the jugs machine. But until we get into the more quality reps, I'll have a better idea.
Mike, what was it like preparing to face Zach Martin, and what have been your first impressions from him now?
Well, Zach Martin, always have had great respect for him from afar, and he's what I like about him, not only is he a great player, but just his steady professional approach. I mean, he brings a sense of, such a high level of professionalism to the way he operates. You can see that just during the off season. He's one of those guys that's always in the building and does it the right way. So he's a great example for our young guys.
What makes him so good as a player?
What makes him so good as a player? I mean, he's extremely well-rounded. I think he's a guy that, doesn't have any limitations. I mean, if you're looking for the opportunity to maybe help on another matchup, you clearly can put him in a one-on-one situation all day, and he's definitely an excellent player versus a tough matchup. So he has a power game, his ability to pull on space. I mean, really one of the things that is so impressive in the off-season studies is not only the size and strength of the offensive line unit, but their ability to move in space. So it gives us a lot of flexibility in our run schemes, the ability to get into the pattern schemes with different pullers, and with that, you got to have confidence in the one-on-one blocks of your offensive line to dabble in all those schemes. So Zach's excellent at it, but it really as a whole, I've been very impressed with the overall strength and athletic ability of our offensive line.
We seem to ask you a lot about messages to your players. The pads come on tomorrow for the first time. What do you tell these guys when those come on?
Well, I mean, I have a segment of the team meeting each and every day, and it's called practice ethic. So I mean, I think it's clearly the expectations of each and every drill, each and every practice. Obviously, when you go to pads, it's a different practice environment as it is with with the helmets and shells. So just staying specific to what we want to get done in each and every practice.
Thank you guys.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you.